Let us journey back to the height of the Roman Empire, a time of unprecedented power and grandeur. This era was marked by emperors, gladiators, and philosophers. At its zenith, the Roman Empire stretched from the British Isles in the north to the deserts of Africa in the south, and from the Iberian Peninsula in the west to the fertile lands of Mesopotamia in the east. This diverse empire, under the shadow of the Roman eagle, blended together cultures, languages, and traditions. It was a time of opulence and decadence, innovation and conquest, and cultural and intellectual flourishing that left an indelible mark on human civilization. Picture the city of Rome, the heart of the empire, pulsating with life and activity. Its grandeur was reflected in towering monuments, expansive public spaces, and lavish villas, a testament to the empire's might and prosperity. Rome was a bustling metropolis, a city of contrasts where magnificent temples and luxurious palaces stood alongside crowded tenements and bustling marketplaces. The city's streets were alive with the sounds of vendors hawking their goods, children playing, and the constant hum of human activity. Amidst the urban bustle, Rome also offered a place of quiet reflection. Serene gardens and tranquil public baths provided a respite from the city's frenetic pace. The people of Rome were as diverse as the city itself. There were the patricians, the wealthy aristocrats who held the highest offices and wielded immense political power. They lived in grand villas adorned with elaborate mosaics and frescoes, surrounded by lush gardens, and attended by numerous slaves. Their days were filled with political maneuvering, public duties, and elaborate feasts and entertainments. Beneath the patricians were the plebeians, the common people of Rome. They were the backbone of the city, working as farmers, traders, craftsmen, and laborers. Despite their lower status, the plebeians held their own political institutions and played a crucial role in the empire's functioning. Life in the Roman Empire was not solely defined by politics and power, it was also rich in cultural and intellectual pursuits. The Romans were great admirers of Greek culture and learning, and many of the empire's greatest thinkers and artists were heavily influenced by Greek ideas. Philosophy, literature, and the arts flourished under the patronage of the emperors and the wealthy elite. The works of poets like Virgil and Horace and philosophers like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius continue to be read and admired to this day. However, life in the Roman Empire was not without its struggles and hardships. The empire's vast size and cultural diversity posed significant challenges to governance. Frequent uprisings and rebellions, particularly in the more distant provinces, were common. Slavery was widespread, and the lives of slaves were often harsh and brutal. The gap between the rich and the poor was immense, and social mobility was limited. Despite these challenges, the Roman Empire managed to maintain its cohesion and stability for several centuries, a testament to its administrative efficiency and military might. But life in the Roman Empire was not just about survival and struggle, it was also about enjoyment and celebration. The Romans were renowned for their love of games and spectacles. The Colosseum, the largest amphitheater in the empire, hosted thrilling gladiatorial contests and wild beast hunts. The Circus Maximus, a massive stadium, was the venue for exhilarating chariot races that drew tens of thousands of spectators. These spectacles, often sponsored by the emperors and wealthy citizens, served not only as forms of entertainment, but also as important tools for maintaining social order and promoting Roman values. Religion was another integral aspect of life in the Roman Empire. The Romans practiced a polytheistic religion, worshipping a pantheon of gods and goddesses. They believed in the divine origin of their city and empire, performing elaborate rituals and sacrifices to secure the favor of the gods. Over time, Roman religion absorbed elements from the diverse cultures under its rule, resulting in a rich and varied religious landscape. As we explore the life and times of the Roman Empire, we will delve into its intricate social hierarchy, political machinations, intellectual pursuits, and the daily struggles and joys of its inhabitants. We will also examine the factors that led to the empire's decline and fall, and the enduring legacy it left for future generations. As we journey through this captivating period of history, let us remember that the Roman Empire was not merely a political entity, but a vibrant and diverse civilization, a melting pot of cultures and ideas that shaped the course of human history. In this journey back in time, we have already begun to explore the grandeur and complexity of life during the empire's peak. From the opulence of patrician villas to the humble dwellings of plebeians, from intellectual salons to bustling marketplaces, from grand spectacles in the Colosseum to the tranquil quiet of public baths, the Roman Empire was a world of contrasts, a world of power and struggle, of culture and learning, and of human aspiration and achievement. As we continue this journey, let us immerse ourselves in this fascinating era, learning from its lessons, appreciating its accomplishments, and marveling at its enduring legacy. As we delve deeper into the remarkable fabric of the Roman Empire at its zenith, let us journey through the vibrant streets of Rome, the bustling heart of the empire. Imagine the sight of grand edifices and public structures like the Colosseum and the Pantheon that punctuated the city's skyline. These architectural marvels were a testament to Rome's unparalleled engineering prowess and continue to captivate us in the present day. The most common dwelling in Rome was the insula, or apartment building. These structures were often built cheaply and prone to fires and collapses. However, this was the everyday reality for most Romans, as only the wealthy could afford private homes. These domes were luxurious private residences with rooms arranged around a central courtyard, often adorned with intricate mosaics and frescoes. In Roman society, the family was perceived as a fundamental unit. The paterfamilias, or father of the family, held almost absolute power, known as patria potestas, over his kin. This power extended over his wife, children, and slaves, binding them into a single economic and legal entity. Contrary to many preconceived notions, Roman women enjoyed a significant degree of freedom compared to their contemporaries in other ancient societies. They could own and inherit property and had the right to divorce. Slavery was an integral part of the Roman economy and society, with slaves performing a variety of tasks from domestic chores and tutoring to manual labor in the fields and mines. However, the life of a slave was far from simple, as their treatment largely depended on their masters. The Romans were renowned for their advancements in engineering and public health. They built an intricate network of roads and bridges to expedite trade and military movement, and their aqueducts ingeniously transported fresh water from distant sources into cities and towns, facilitating public baths and latrines and upholding a high standard of sanitation. The Roman diet was simple but nourishing, with wheat and barley serving as staples. They enjoyed a variety of fruits, vegetables, and legumes, and the wealthier Romans could afford meat, fish, and exotic spices. The Romans were also known for their love of wine, which was consumed at all meals and social occasions. Education was highly valued in Roman society. Wealthy Romans often hired private tutors for their children, while the less affluent sent their children to public schools. The curriculum was rigorous, emphasizing reading, writing, arithmetic, and moral conduct. Religion permeated every aspect of Roman life. They worshipped a pantheon of gods and goddesses, each governing a different aspect of life. They believed in maintaining a proper relationship with the gods through rituals and sacrifices, a practice known as pietas. Despite its grandeur, the Roman Empire faced social issues like poverty and class disparity. The gap between the rich and the poor was evident in the city's urban landscape. Public entertainment, such as gladiatorial games and chariot races, was used to divert attention from these problems. As we examine Roman life, we find a society with remarkable achievements and profound challenges. From their architectural marvels to their social structures, the Romans created a civilization that continues to influence us today. As we drift into sleep, we carry the echoes of this ancient world, reminding us of our capacity to create, adapt, and endure. Let's explore Roman city planning and infrastructure at its zenith, focusing on the remarkable city planning and infrastructure that underpinned its prosperity. Roman city planning was characterized by intricate designs, remarkable efficiency, and the use of advanced building materials, reflecting a society that valued organization, practicality, and luxury. At the heart of every Roman city was the Forum, a public square serving as the central hub for political, economic, and social activities. The Forum was typically surrounded by important government buildings, temples, and markets where citizens gathered to discuss politics, engage in trade, or socialize. Larger cities like Rome boasted multiple forums, each with its distinct identity and purpose. A city's grandeur was often reflected in its monumental structures. The Colosseum in Rome stands as a prime example, an engineering marvel that could accommodate up to 50,000 spectators. It served as a venue for public spectacles such as gladiatorial contests, mock sea battles, animal hunts, and executions. However, it's important to note that not all Roman cities were adorned with such grandiose structures. Smaller towns and cities also had their own amphitheaters, albeit on a more modest scale. A quintessential feature of Roman city planning was the grid system. Roads were meticulously laid out in a grid pattern, with the Cardo and Decumanus intersecting at the city's center. This efficient layout facilitated easy navigation and effectively divided the city into manageable blocks. The streets were often lined with shops and stalls, creating a vibrant and bustling atmosphere. Beyond city planning, the Romans were also masters of infrastructure. Their aqueducts, for instance, were engineering marvels that harnessed gravity to transport water from distant sources into the city's heart. Recognizing the significance of clean water for the health and well-being of their citizens, the Romans constructed aqueducts, some of which are still in use today, demonstrating their foresight and ingenuity. Another remarkable engineering feat was the Roman sewer system, known as the Cloaca Maxima. This vast underground network played a crucial role in improving the sanitation and hygiene of the city by carrying away waste and stormwater. By maintaining cleanliness and reducing the risk of disease, the Cloaca Maxima contributed to the overall well-being of the Roman population. Roman homes, known as domus, were equally impressive. In cities, these homes were often part of insulae, which were multi-story apartment buildings. The ground floor typically housed shops or businesses, while the upper floors provided living quarters. Wealthier Romans resided in detached houses with multiple rooms, a central courtyard, and often private baths. These baths were not merely for hygiene, but also served as social centers. The grand bathhouses, like the baths of Caracalla in Rome, offered an array of facilities, including hot and cold baths, saunas, gymnasiums, and even libraries. Patrons could indulge in leisurely soaks, exercise, or engage in intellectual discussions all under one roof. From their city planning and infrastructure to their homes and social centers, the Romans demonstrated a profound understanding of urban living. They recognized the importance of organization, cleanliness, leisure, and community, and implemented these principles in their designs. This attention to detail, coupled with their technological prowess, contributed to the high standard of living during the peak of the Roman Empire. As we continue our journey, we will delve deeper into the Roman lifestyle, their food, clothing, and entertainment, all of which played a significant role in shaping the unique culture of this great civilization. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate the remarkable planning and infrastructure that underpinned the prosperity of the Roman Empire at its zenith. As we venture into the past, we find ourselves at the heart of the Roman Empire, its bustling capital, Rome. The city stood as a testament to the empire's grandeur, a place where one could witness the full spectrum of Roman life and culture. Indeed, Rome epitomized what it meant to live during the peak of the Roman Empire. As we wander through the ancient city in our minds, we first encounter the famous Roman bathhouses. These were not merely places for hygiene, but served as social hubs where Romans of all social classes gathered to gossip, conduct business, and unwind after a long day. These bathhouses were architectural marvels, boasting large heated pools, steam rooms, and gymnasiums. Some, like the baths of Caracalla, even housed libraries, lecture rooms, and shops. The Romans took great care in their personal hygiene, and these bathhouses were a testament to that commitment. Stepping out of the warmth of the bathhouse, we find ourselves on the bustling streets of Rome. The city was alive with activity. Streets and alleys were filled with vendors selling their wares, from fresh produce, fish, and meat to clothing and jewelry. Slaves bustled about, carrying out their masters' orders. There was a constant hum of conversation, haggling, and the clatter of carts and chariots. Our path leads us to the Grand Forum, the heart of Roman public life. Here, one could find the great temples, the Senate House, and the markets. It was in the Forum that the citizens of Rome would gather to hear important speeches, witness trials, and participate in public affairs. The illustrious marble buildings reflected the sun, creating an almost ethereal glow that must have been awe-inspiring to the citizens of Rome. Just beyond the Forum, we find the Circus Maximus, the great stadium where Romans flocked to witness the thrilling chariot races. These events were immensely popular, and the stadium could hold up to 150,000 spectators. The air would be filled with the roar of the crowd as they cheered for their favorite charioteers, adding to the exhilarating atmosphere. Venturing further, we come across the Colosseum, the grand amphitheater that was the venue for gladiatorial contests, mock sea battles, and other public spectacles. Here Romans would gather to watch these violent yet captivating performances. The Colosseum could hold upwards of 50,000 spectators, and the elaborate shows were often sponsored by emperors as a means to gain popularity with the public. As the day winds down, we find ourselves in the residential districts of Rome. The wealthy lived in grand villas adorned with beautiful mosaics and frescoes, while the less fortunate resided in insular or apartment blocks. These cramped accommodations often lacked basic amenities, reflecting the stark divide between the wealthy and the impoverished in Roman society. As the sun sets, the city is bathed in the warm glow of oil lamps, illuminating the stone buildings. Although the streets are quieter now, Rome is far from sleeping. In taverns and inns, Romans gather to eat, drink, and revel in each other's company. Music and laughter fill the air, adding to the lively atmosphere. As we conclude our day in Rome, it becomes evident that life during the height of the Roman Empire was characterized by a vibrant social scene, an appreciation for the arts, and a strong sense of community. It was a period of unparalleled prosperity and cultural advancement whose impact can still be felt today. In our next section, we will delve deeper into the daily lives of Roman citizens, exploring their routines, beliefs, and personal lives. We will uncover how they lived, loved, and thrived in this grand empire. So for now, close your eyes and imagine the glow of the Roman lamps, the hum of the city as it goes about its nightly routines, and the distant laughter from a nearby tavern. Let the sounds and sights of ancient Rome lull you into a peaceful sleep as we prepare for our next journey into the past. As we continue our exploration of the Roman Empire at its peak, we find ourselves arriving in the bustling heart of the empire, Rome itself. It is important to remember that Rome was not just the capital, it was a symbol of the empire's might, wealth, and grandeur. The city was a vibrant metropolis, home to over 1 million residents, a staggering figure for the era. Rome was a melting pot of cultures, languages, and traditions, all coexisting under the strong edifice of Roman law and order. The city was a marvel of engineering and architecture, boasting grand structures like the Colosseum, the Forum, and the Pantheon. The streets were alive with commerce, with traders from all corners of the empire selling their goods. Amidst the constant hum of the city, from the clatter of chariots on cobblestones to the chatter of citizens in bathhouses and taverns, the average Roman citizen led a life remarkably similar to our own. They rose with the dawn, indulged in a light breakfast, and embarked on their daily endeavors. While many Romans engaged in commerce, others pursued various professions, including craftsmanship, soldiering, farming, or servitude. Lunch was a quick meal, often consumed on the go, while dinner was a more elaborate affair, shared with family and friends. Despite the grandeur of the city and the empire, life for the average Roman citizen was not without its challenges. The disparity between the wealthy and the impoverished was significant, and poverty was widespread. Many Romans resided in cramped multi-story apartment buildings known as insulae, which were often unsafe and unsanitary. Fire posed a constant threat to these structures, making the Roman fire brigade a crucial component of the city's infrastructure. Nevertheless, Roman society demonstrated remarkable resilience and adaptability. Renowned for their innovations, the Romans developed numerous technologies that we now take for granted. They boasted an intricate system of aqueducts that supplied fresh water to the city, and a network of roads and bridges that connected the empire's distant corners. Public baths, gymnasiums, and libraries were prevalent, reflecting their emphasis on education and the arts. In terms of culture, the Romans were ardent enthusiasts of the theatre, with plays serving as a popular form of entertainment. Epic poetry, philosophy, and history held immense value, and the works of esteemed Roman writers like Virgil, Horace, and Livy have endured to this day. Sports and games were also highly cherished. Chariot races were a favored pastime, and the Circus Maximus, the largest stadium in Rome, could accommodate up to 250,000 spectators. Gladiatorial games were another major attraction, despite their brutal and bloody nature. Religion, however, played a central role in Roman life, shaping their beliefs and practices. The Romans, polytheistic in nature, revered a pantheon of gods and goddesses. Temples dedicated to these deities adorned the cityscape, and religious festivals and ceremonies were an integral part of Roman life. The emperor, considered a divine figure, was the center of his own cult, which held significant importance within the state religion. As we conclude this section of our exploration of the Roman Empire, it's crucial to recognize that Rome transcended its status as a mere city. It stood as a symbol. It was the epicenter of an empire that stretched across 3 continents, a testament to the ingenuity, ambition, and resilience of the Roman people. Life in Rome mirrored the complexities, contradictions, and challenges of the empire at large. As we embark on our journey, we will delve deeper into the intricacies of Roman society, examining the lives of its people, institutions, and culture in greater detail. As the sun sets on another day during the height of the Roman Empire, we find ourselves immersed in the cultural and social aspects of life during this period. Like us, the Romans sought entertainment and leisure activities to fill their free time. Many of these pursuits are still familiar to us today, with theaters, bathhouses, and stadiums playing a pivotal role in Roman society. The theater, an integral part of Roman culture, served as a venue for both entertainment and social interaction. Performances spanned a diverse range of genres, including tragedies, comedies, pantomimes, and mimes. Roman theatres were grand constructions accommodating thousands of spectators and were often situated in the heart of the city, adding vibrancy to the urban landscape. These performances not only provided amusement, but also served as platforms for social commentary, reflecting the political and social issues of the time. Alongside the theatre, the Romans also indulged in the brutal spectacle of gladiatorial games, where gladiators engaged in fierce battles, often to the death. Despite their violent nature, the games were incredibly popular, attracting crowds of spectators from all social classes. These spectacles showcased Roman power and military might, serving as a powerful demonstration of their dominance. Additionally, they provided emperors with an opportunity to gain favor with the masses by sponsoring lavish spectacles at their own expense. However, the games weren't solely about violence and drama. The Romans also valued the finer things in life. Bathhouses, known as thermes, were common in Roman cities and towns. These weren't just places for bathing, they were also social hubs, business centers, and even places for exercise. The grandest bathhouses were architectural marvels, featuring heated floors, steam rooms, and intricate mosaics. Visiting the bathhouse was a daily ritual for many Romans, reflecting the importance of cleanliness and hygiene in their society. Roman cuisine, another intriguing aspect of their culture, was diverse and sophisticated. The diet of a Roman citizen varied significantly based on their social status. Wealthy Romans indulged in extravagant feasts featuring exotic ingredients, often lasting several hours and accompanied by entertainment. In contrast, the diet of common Roman citizens was more modest, consisting primarily of grains, fruits, vegetables, and occasionally meat. The Roman Empire's social structure was rigid, with a clear distinction between the aristocratic elite and the common citizens. At the top were the emperors and the senatorial class, followed by the equestrians and then the plebeians. Slaves, considered property rather than citizens, occupied the lowest rung of this hierarchy. Despite these social divisions, there was a degree of social mobility within Roman society. Individuals could rise through the ranks through military service, financial success, or political ambition. This relative social mobility, coupled with the promise of Roman citizenship, made the empire an enticing prospect for many beyond its borders. Education held immense value in Roman society. Children from affluent families were often tutored at home, immersing themselves in a curriculum encompassing literature, history, and philosophy. However, the less privileged, if they received any education at all, were typically provided with a more basic education. Regardless of social class, education was regarded as essential for preparing young Romans for their roles as citizens and leaders. Religion played a pivotal role in Roman society, with an extensive pantheon of gods and goddesses worshipped by the populace. Temples dedicated to these deities dotted the empire's landscape, serving as centers for religious ceremonies and festivals. The Roman calendar was replete with religious observances, underscoring the profound significance of religion in daily life. As we delve deeper into the life of the Romans, we encounter a society that is both familiar and foreign to us. Their customs, traditions, and daily routines offer a captivating glimpse into a civilization that, despite its eventual decline, has left an indelible legacy on the world. As the night descends, let us take a moment to appreciate the intricate and rich tapestry of Roman life during the empire's zenith. Tomorrow we will continue our journey, exploring the political and military aspects of Rome at its peak. For now, however, let us close our eyes and envision the grandeur that was Rome. As we embark on our exploration of life during the peak of the Roman Empire, or Pax Romana, our focus shifts from the bustling streets and the splendor of public spaces to the intimate settings of Roman homes. The home, or domus, held immense significance in Roman society and offers us a fascinating window into the daily life of the period. Roman homes varied widely in design and grandeur, reflecting the wealth and status of their owners. The rich resided in spacious, opulent houses adorned with intricate mosaics and frescoes, while the poor lived in cramped, multi-story apartment buildings known as insulae. The traditional Roman home, the dois, was a marvel of architectural design. Typically, it consisted of several rooms, including a dining room, triclinium, bedrooms, cubicula, a kitchen, and a study or office, tablinum. At the heart of the domus was the atrium, a large, open central space with an opening in the roof that allowed rainwater to collect in a shallow pool below, called the impluvium. This ingenious design provided natural light and ventilation while serving a practical purpose. The walls of these homes were often decorated with intricate frescoes depicting scenes from mythology, landscapes, or daily life. Floors were often covered in meticulously crafted mosaics featuring a range of themes, from simple geometric patterns to complex scenes from mythology, history, or the natural world. These decorative elements were not merely aesthetic, they were a way for homeowners to showcase their wealth, taste, and education. The Roman do also served as a place of work. Many wealthy Romans had shops or offices attached to their homes where they conducted their business affairs. Slaves performed much of the actual labor, whether managing a shop, cooking meals, or cleaning the home. The treatment of slaves varied greatly, but in many cases they were considered part of the family and were treated with respect. In contrast to the dois, the insulae were crowded, multi-story apartment buildings that housed the city's lower classes. These buildings were often poorly constructed and prone to fires and collapses. The apartments themselves were small and cramped, often with a single room serving as both a living and sleeping area. Despite these hardships, the insulae were vibrant places teeming with life and activity. Food and dining were central aspects of Roman life. Meals for the lower classes were simple, often consisting of grain, vegetables, and occasionally meat or fish. In contrast, the wealthy indulged in extravagant feasts that showcased their wealth and status. A typical banquet might include a variety of dishes from oysters to peacock, accompanied by fine wines, and followed by entertainment such as music, dancing, or poetry readings. Education was highly valued in Roman society. Children were taught at home by their parents or private tutors until the age of 7, when they began formal schooling. Boys and girls were educated separately, with boys learning reading, writing, arithmetic, and rhetoric, while girls were taught spinning, weaving, and other domestic skills. Religion permeated every aspect of Roman life, from public rituals performed in temples and at public games to private ceremonies conducted in homes. Religion played a significant role. Each home had a small shrine or lararium where household gods were worshipped. These gods, or lis, were believed to protect the home and its inhabitants. In our next section, we will explore the fascinating world of Roman entertainment, where gladiatorial contests and chariot races captivated the imagination of the populace and provided a welcome distraction from the challenges of daily life. As we continue our journey through the peak of the Roman Empire, let your mind wander through the streets of Rome. Imagine the sights, sounds, and smells of this remarkable period in history. from the grand villas of the wealthy to the bustling insulae of the poor. As we continue our exploration of life during the peak of the Roman Empire, we now turn our attention to the political structure and the military that formed the backbone of this historical powerhouse. At the heart of the Roman political system was the Senate, an advisory council composed of Rome's most prestigious citizens. The Senate held immense sway over the Roman state and was made up of lifelong members, usually former magistrates. The Senate, a political body and social institution akin to a gentleman's club, served as a forum for the elite to discuss matters of state and society. Its primary role was to advise magistrates and the populace, but its decisions, known as a natus consulta, held considerable weight. During the Roman Empire, characterized by autocracy and the emperor's supreme power, maintaining the illusion of a republic was crucial. Emperors often went to great lengths to secure the Senate's approval, proposing legislation that the Senate would then endorse. In reality, the Senate lacked the power to oppose the emperor, but their endorsement imbued the emperor's decisions with legitimacy. The emperor's rule was not solitary. The imperial court was a complex network of officials, advisors, and family members. The emperor's household, the domus, served as the administrative hub of the empire, where he was surrounded by a multitude of advisors, freedmen, slaves, and family members who assisted him in governance. The Roman Empire was not merely a political entity, it was also a formidable military machine. The Romans possessed a professional standing army, the first of its kind in history. The backbone of this army were the legions, units comprising approximately 5,000 men each, further divided into centuries of around 80 men. Legions were not solely fighting forces, they also functioned as engineering corps, constructing roads, bridges, and fortifications throughout the empire. Each legion operated as a self-contained unit, equipped with its own command structure, medical staff, engineers, and even a small navy. The soldiers of the legions were well-trained and disciplined, adhering to a strict hierarchy and code of conduct. Beyond their combat capabilities, the legions served as a police force, maintaining law and order in the provinces. The key to the Roman military's success lay in its adaptability. The Romans often adopted the tactics and weapons of their defeated enemies, integrating them into their military doctrine. This adaptability, coupled with the discipline and organization of their legions, made the Roman army a formidable force. The Roman navy also played a crucial role in the empire's expansion by protecting vital sea routes for trade and communication. While not as prestigious as the legions, the navy was essential for maintaining the empire's security and prosperity. Life in the Roman military was challenging but offered opportunities for social advancement. Many provincials pursued careers in the army or navy, which could lead to citizenship, land, money, and social mobility. As we explore the political and military structure of the Roman Empire, we uncover an intricate system of checks and balances, a complex web of relationships, and a military machine that was both innovative and efficient. These elements combined to create an empire that endured for centuries, leaving an indelible mark on the world. As we transition from the political and military aspects of Roman life, our next section will delve into the cultural and social facets, examining the daily lives of its citizens from diverse socioeconomic backgrounds. Rest assured, there is still much to discover about this remarkable period in human history. As we delve deeper into the heart of the Roman Empire at its zenith, it becomes increasingly evident that the Romans lived in a world that was both familiar and foreign to our own. Let's take a closer look at the daily lives of an average Roman citizen during the height of the empire, around the 2nd century AD. Romans rose with the sun, often greeted by the sounds of the bustling city streets. As the sun's first rays peaked over the horizon, Rome would already be bustling with activity. Vendors would be setting up their stalls, the clatter of horses and carts on the cobblestone streets would fill the air, and the distant ringing of blacksmiths' hammers would echo through the city. Most Romans lived in small apartments or houses, often sharing their space with extended family or lodges. These dwellings were typically constructed from brick and concrete, featuring flat roofs that could be used for additional living space or even a small garden. Breakfast in Rome was a simple affair. Most Romans would start their day with a meal of bread, cheese, and perhaps some olives or dried fruit. This would be washed down with a cup of pusca, a sour wine diluted with water, which was a common drink throughout the empire. After breakfast, the men of the house would usually head off to work or to the forum, while the women would remain at home to oversee the household chores. The Roman workday was relatively short by modern standards, often ending in the early afternoon. This was partly due to the hot Mediterranean climate, which made it impractical to work during the hottest part of the day. After work, many Romans would head to the baths, a crucial part of Roman social life. These weren't just places to get clean, they were also spaces for socializing, exercising, and even conducting business. Roman baths were grand and elaborate buildings, often featuring a series of heated rooms and pools. Visitors would typically begin their visit in the aerium, a warm room that helped to open the pores before moving to the hotter coldarium. After sweating in the heat, they would plunge into the cold waters of the frigidarium. Many baths also had gymnasiums, libraries, and even barber shops. The Romans took their bathing very seriously, viewing it as both a social duty and a mark of civilization. After their visit to the baths, Romans would return home for cena, the main meal of the day. This was a leisurely affair, often lasting several hours and featuring a range of dishes. A typical Roman dinner might begin with a starter of eggs or a salad, followed by a main course of meat or fish, and concluding with a dessert of fruit or honeyed cakes. Wine was a common accompaniment to the meal, usually served diluted. Evening in Rome was a time for relaxation and entertainment. Many Romans would attend the theatre or watch gladiatorial games at the Colosseum. Others might visit a tavern for a drink and some gambling, or enjoy a leisurely stroll around the city. As darkness fell, the streets of Rome would be illuminated by oil lamps, casting a warm, flickering glow over the city. Despite the many similarities to our own lives, it's crucial to remember that life in the Roman Empire was also characterized by significant inequalities. Slavery was a fundamental aspect of Roman society, and the lives of slaves were often harsh and brutal. On the other hand, the Roman elite lived lives of unimaginable luxury, indulging in exotic dishes and wearing garments of the finest silk. As we conclude this section of our journey through the Roman Empire, we are reminded of the extraordinary complexity and diversity of this ancient civilization. Rome was a city of contrasts, where grandeur and squalor coexisted. It was a place where the mundane and the extraordinary intertwined, creating a society that continues to captivate us over 2,000 years later. As we continue our exploration in the sections to come, we will delve deeper into the intricacies of Roman society, shedding more light on this remarkable period in history. As we embark on our journey through the historical era of the Roman Empire, let's explore the daily life and customs during the Pax Romana, a period of stability and relative peace that spanned from 27 BC to 180 AD. This era was marked by significant growth and prosperity, with the empire's boundaries extending from Britain in the north to Egypt in the south, Spain in the west, and Mesopotamia in the east. At the heart of the vast empire stood the city of Rome, a bustling metropolis teeming with over 1 million people. Its citizens were a diverse tapestry of Romans, Greeks, Jews, Gauls, Germans, Britons, Thracians, Egyptians, and many others hailing from the empire's far-flung corners. Rome served as the epicenter of trade, politics, and culture, adorned with magnificent public buildings and opulent private homes that reflected the empire's immense wealth and power. Roman society was a strict hierarchy, with senators, members of the oldest and wealthiest families of Rome, occupying the pinnacle of power. Below them were the equestrians, affluent businessmen, and professionals. The majority of the population comprised the plebeians, free citizens who held the right to vote but wielded limited political influence. At the bottom of the social ladder were the slaves, devoid of rights and considered mere property. Life in Rome was a harmonious blend of work, leisure, and public participation. Most Romans worked 6 days a week, with businesses and shops opening early in the morning and closing in the afternoon. While many engaged in trades, crafts, or farming, others held jobs as teachers, doctors, or civil servants. Slaves, on the other hand, performed the arduous manual labor, ranging from construction work and rowing ships to household chores. Despite the demanding work hours, Romans found ways to save a life. Public baths became popular social hubs, where they could unwind, engage in games, and discuss political matters after a day's toil. The Romans were avid gamers, enjoying a variety of board games like tabula, akin to backgammon, as well as physical activities such as wrestling and horse racing. The most popular spectator sport, however, was the gladiatorial games, where trained fighters battled each other or wild animals in front of roaring crowds. Food played a crucial role in Roman life. Most Romans adhered to a three-meal diet consisting of a light breakfast, a substantial midday meal, and a lighter dinner in the evening. The diet of the common Roman was predominantly composed of cereals, bread, cheese, fruits, vegetables, and occasionally meat. The wealthy, on the other hand, indulged in extravagant feasts featuring exotic dishes, fine wines, and elaborate desserts. Education held immense value in Roman society. Wealthy families often employed tutors to educate their children at home, while poorer families sent their children to school. Both boys and girls received basic education, but higher education was predominantly reserved for boys. Subjects covered included reading, writing, arithmetic, music, and rhetoric, with rhetoric being particularly crucial for those aspiring to a political career. Religion played a central role in Roman life. Every household had a small shrine to the household gods, and the Romans revered a diverse pantheon of gods and goddesses, each overseeing various aspects of life. Temples were prevalent in Rome, and religious festivals, sacrifices, and processions were frequent occurrences. The Romans also believed in divination and sought guidance from soothsayers for significant decisions. As we delve into the intricate tapestry of daily life during the Pax Romana, we gain a deeper appreciation for the complex society and culture that the Romans established. Join us in our subsequent segment as we further explore the political and military systems of the Roman Empire and the remarkable engineering feats that continue to inspire awe today. As you drift into sleep, envision the bustling streets of Rome, the cheering crowds in the Colosseum, and the serene whispers of prayers in the temples. Let the echoes of this ancient civilization lull you into peaceful dreams. As we continue our exploration of the grandeur of the Roman Empire, we now shift our focus to the societal structure that formed the foundation of this great civilization. Roman society was highly hierarchical and broadly categorized into patricians, plebeians, common people, and slaves. The patricians constituted the elite of Roman society, comprising wealthy landowners and political leaders. The patricians, the elite class of Rome, resided in opulent mansions perched on hills overlooking the city. They relished a life of leisure and luxury, spending their days in the forum engaging in political discussions, participating in religious festivals, and attending gladiatorial games. The patricians held high positions in the government, including the prestigious office of consul, the highest elected position in the Roman Republic. In stark contrast, the plebeians, the common people of Rome, comprised farmers, tradesmen, soldiers, and laborers. Despite making up the majority of the population, they held little political power and were often at the mercy of the patricians. However, over time, the plebeians gradually gained certain rights and privileges, such as the right to elect tribunes who could veto the actions of the consuls. While these gains brought some improvement, the life of a plebeian was often arduous, characterized by long hours of work and limited leisure time. It's important to note that the distinction between plebeians and patricians was not always clear-cut. Many plebeians achieved wealth and status through their endeavors in trade or military service, becoming what they were known as new men. These individuals often aspired to emulate the lifestyle of the patricians, constructing grand houses and sponsoring public games and festivals. Slavery played a significant role in Roman society and the economy. Slaves were employed for various tasks, ranging from agricultural labor to household chores. They were bought and sold at markets, and were frequently subjected to harsh treatment by their masters. However, it was possible for a slave to earn their freedom, and freed slaves could become citizens, albeit with limited rights. The Romans had a unique perspective on wealth and status. Unlike many societies, they did not necessarily equate wealth with virtue. Instead, they valued a concept they called dignitas, which can be loosely translated as dignity or prestige. This concept served as a measure of an individual's influence, reputation, and standing within society. A person could enhance their dignity by serving in the military, holding public office, or sponsoring public works. In terms of entertainment, the Romans had a passion for spectacle and drama. The Colosseum, with its gladiatorial games, epitomized this. These games, often sponsored by wealthy patricians, drew crowds of tens of thousands. Gladiators, frequently slaves or criminals, fought to the death for the crowd's entertainment. The Romans also cherished theatre, and plays were frequently performed at festivals and religious ceremonies. Religion held immense significance in Roman society, deeply ingrained in every aspect of life. They worshipped a pantheon of gods and goddesses, each with their own domain and responsibilities. Religious festivals were common, involving sacrifices, prayers, and processions. The Romans believed that by honoring the gods in these ways, they could secure their favor and protection. Education was highly esteemed in Roman society, considered crucial for social advancement. Wealthy Romans hired tutors for their children, teaching them reading, writing, arithmetic, and the classics. The objective of education was not only to impart knowledge, but also to instill the values and virtues essential to Roman society. In conclusion, life during the Roman Empire's peak was marked by a stark class divide, a love for spectacle and drama, a profound reverence for the gods, and a strong emphasis on education. Despite the hardships faced by many, it was a society characterized by a rich culture and a deep sense of dignity and honor. It's easy to understand how this intricate and vibrant society managed to dominate the ancient world for so many centuries. In the preceding sections, we explored the rise of the Roman Empire, its political structure, and the daily lives of its citizens. In this section, we will delve into the social structure and the dynamics of Roman society during its zenith. The Roman Empire, like any other ancient civilization, was characterized by a rigid social hierarchy. At the pinnacle of this hierarchy were the patricians, the aristocrats and ruling class who held most of the political power. They were the descendants of the original senators of Rome, chosen by Romulus, the mythological founder of Rome. Patrician families enjoyed numerous privileges, including the exclusive right to hold certain high offices, such as consul and censor. Their wealth stemmed from large estates or latifundia, which were worked by slaves or tenant farmers. Below the patricians were the equestrians, also known as the equites or the knight class. Initially, this class was defined by their ability to afford a horse for military service, but over time, it evolved into a wealthy business class. They engaged in various commercial activities, including tax collection, and often served as public contractors. Their economic power eventually enabled them to wield substantial political influence, despite not having the same formal political rights as the patricians. The largest class by far was the plebeians, free Roman citizens who were not part of the patrician or equestrian classes. They comprised the artisans, merchants, farmers, and laborers who formed the backbone of the Roman economy. While they had the right to vote, they were initially barred from holding higher political offices. However, through collective action and protest, known as the conflict of the orders, the plebeians gradually won political concessions, including the right to hold the consulship and the establishment of tribunes who were officials elected to protect their interests. At the very bottom of the social pyramid were the slaves and freed men. Slavery was an integral part of Roman society, with slaves performing various tasks, from household chores to gladiatorial combat. It's important to note that Roman slavery was not based on race, but rather on capture in war, punishment for crime, or the inability to pay debts. Freedmen, on the other hand, were former slaves who had either purchased their freedom or been granted it by their masters. Although freedmen possessed most of the rights of a Roman citizen, they were not considered social equals by the freeborn citizens. The social structure of Rome also had a gendered aspect. While men dominated the public sphere, women in Rome enjoyed a degree of personal and economic independence that was uncommon in the ancient world. They could own property, engage in business, and initiate divorce, but they were prohibited from voting or holding public office. The Roman Empire was also renowned for its multiculturalism. As the empire expanded, a multitude of cultures, languages, and religions were absorbed into Roman society. This cultural diversity was evident in all aspects of Roman life, from its cuisine and fashion to its religious practices and artistic expressions. During the peak of the Roman Empire, social mobility was possible to some extent. A plebeian could accumulate wealth and join the equestrian class. A slave could be freed and become a wealthy businessman, and an equestrian could enter the Senate if they met the property qualification. However, these instances were exceptions rather than the norm, with the vast majority of individuals remaining in the social class they were born into. Overall, Roman society during the peak of the empire was a complex and stratified system that granted different levels of privilege and power to its members. Despite its inherent inequalities, it also offered opportunities for advancement that were relatively rare in the ancient world. In the next section, we will delve into the military structure and explore the factors that contributed to the Roman Empire's remarkable military success. Please close your eyes, take a deep breath, and prepare to embark on a journey into the world of the Roman legions. As the sun sets over the horizon, the city of Rome transforms into a vibrant and bustling nocturnal metropolis. Street vendors close their stalls, and the city comes alive with the sounds of the night. Laborers returning from the fields would find the city's many taverns and bathhouses aglow with warm light, casting shadows on the cobbled streets. Among these establishments stood the renowned Thermae of Caracalla, a grand bathhouse constructed in the 3rd century AD. Beyond its primary function of bathing and socializing, it served as a multifunctional leisure center, complete with libraries, gardens, and even a gymnasium. Patrons began their visit in the apotarium, a changing room lined with wooden lockers. From there they proceeded to the tepidarium, a moderate-temperature room where they would sweat out impurities. Next, they moved to the calarium, a hot bath, followed by the frigidarium, a cold pool designed to close pores and invigorate the body. This ritual not only promoted hygiene, but also fostered relaxation and camaraderie among patrons, ranging from politicians and poets to generals and gladiators. After a visit to the bathhouse, Romans might attend a banquet, another cornerstone of social life in the empire. These extravagant affairs featured guests reclining on couches and indulging in delicacies such as roasted peacock and stuffed dormice. The wealth of the host dictated the lavishness of the banquet, with some aristocrats employing professional entertainers to entertain their guests. Music, poetry, and even acrobatic performances were all common features of these events. However, life in the Roman Empire was not solely characterized by leisure and luxury. There existed a darker side to society marked by inequality and brutality. While the wealthy enjoyed the comforts of villas and banquets, the poor lived in squalid conditions, often confined to cramped multi-story apartment buildings known as insulae. These buildings were prone to collapse and fire, and their residents frequently lacked basic amenities like running water or sanitation. Moreover, the Roman Empire was built on the backs of slaves who performed a diverse range of tasks, from manual labor in the fields to domestic service in the opulent homes of the wealthy. Slaves were considered property and were often subjected to harsh treatment. Their only hope for freedom lay in manumission, a process by which a slave could be liberated by their master. Despite these challenges, the Roman Empire stood as a remarkably stable society, characterized by a robust legal system and efficient administration. The Romans were skilled engineers, constructing an extensive network of roads and aqueducts that facilitated trade and communication across the empire. They were also innovative architects, pioneering the use of concrete and the arch, which enabled them to build magnificent structures like the Colosseum and the Pantheon. Furthermore, the Romans were renowned for their literary and artistic achievements. Poets like Virgil and Ovid composed epic works that continue to captivate scholars today. Sculptors created realistic portraits of emperors and gods, while even everyday objects like pottery and jewelry were often intricately decorated, reflecting the Romans' appreciation for beauty and craftsmanship. In conclusion, life during the height of the Roman Empire was a fascinating blend of contrasts. It was a time of unprecedented wealth and power, yet also marked by poverty and oppression. It was a society that valued education and culture, yet reveled in spectacle and excess. Although the empire eventually fell, its enduring influence can still be observed in various aspects of our lives, from architecture and legal systems to language and culture. As we embark on this journey through this captivating period, we will delve deeper into the lives of the people who inhabited this era, exploring their customs, beliefs, and daily routines. We will also examine the factors that contributed to the empire's eventual decline and fall, a process that heralded the Middle Ages and irrevocably altered the course of Western history. Until then, rest your eyes and dream of the grandeur of Rome, an empire that once was and in many ways still is. As we delve deeper into the heart of the Roman Empire at its peak, it's crucial to explore the intricacies of daily life, particularly in the bustling metropolis of Rome itself. To truly immerse ourselves, let's imagine a day in the life of an average Roman citizen. The Roman day, known as dies, began at sunrise around 6 a.m. and ended at sunset. Their day was divided into 12 hours or hours. However, since the length of daylight varied with the seasons, the duration of these hours was not fixed, making their concept of time fluid and somewhat different from ours. The daily life of a Roman citizen was dictated by their social status. The elite patricians started their day with a light meal called having aculum, typically consisting of bread, cheese, and sometimes olives or dried fruits. This was followed by the morning salutio, where clients or clientes paid their respects to their patronus or patron. This was a key aspect of the patron-client relationship, a fundamental social dynamic of Roman society. Clients, often lower-class citizens, provided services and support to their patron in exchange for protection and aid. If our imagined Roman citizen was a plebeian or commoner, their day would look quite different. After a similarly light meal, they would head to work. Many worked as farmers, laborers, or tradesmen, while others served in the homes of wealthier Romans. The bustling Roman markets, or mela, were filled with stalls selling a variety of goods, from fruits and vegetables to fish and meat to fabrics and jewelry. The markets were a hub of activity, filled with the sounds of haggling vendors, the scent of fresh produce, and the sight of Romans from all walks of life crossing paths. Around midday, the Romans took a short break for their lunch or pandium. This was a quick, often cold meal, as the Mediterranean climate could be quite hot during the day. After pandium, work resumed until late afternoon. For the wealthy, this could involve political involvement, estate management, or business management. The intellectual elite, on the other hand, engaged in pursuits like philosophy and literature. Meanwhile, the less privileged continued their labor, whether it was tilling the fields, crafting goods, or serving in a patrician household. In the late afternoon, around 300 p.m., by our modern reckoning, Romans would visit public baths. These were not just places for hygiene, they were social and recreational centers where Romans could meet friends, exercise, and even conduct business. The baths were architectural marvels of the Roman Empire, featuring hot and cold pools, steam rooms, and gymnasiums. Regardless of their social standing, Roman citizens spent a considerable amount of time in these baths as they were an integral part of their daily routine. As evening approached, the main meal of the day, cena, was served. For the wealthy, this was often a lavish affair with multiple courses and a variety of delicacies, from oysters to peacock tongues. For the common Roman, cena was simpler, usually consisting of a grain-based dish, vegetables, and occasionally meat or fish. Following cena was the commissatio, a drinking party that marked the end of the day. The wealthy often hosted these parties in their luxurious homes, while the less affluent might gather at a local tavern or popa. As the wine flowed, Romans engaged in lively conversations, played games, and enjoyed entertainment such as music or performances. When we imagine the life and routine of our Roman citizen, it's important to remember that while the Roman Empire was a society of great wealth and advancement, it was also a society of stark contrasts. The extravagance of the wealthy was balanced by the hardship of the poor, and the grandeur of the public buildings contrasted with the simplicity of the common homes. Despite their varying statuses, all Romans shared in the rhythm of dying, the vibrant culture, and the collective identity of belonging to one of history's most influential civilizations. This exploration of a Roman citizen's day offers a glimpse into the complexities and nuances of daily life during the Roman Empire's peak. As we continue our journey, we'll delve deeper into the societal structures, cultural practices, and historical events that shaped this remarkable civilization. As we immerse ourselves in the rich tapestry of the Roman Empire at its zenith, we find ourselves wandering through the bustling streets of Rome, a city thriving with unparalleled cultural and economic prosperity. Outsiders were drawn to Rome's magnificence, its architectural grandeur, and the promise of a life filled with opportunities and adventures. During this period, Rome was not merely a geographic location, but a potent symbol of power, civilization, and grandeur. Imagine being a Roman citizen in the first 2 centuries AD. As dawn breaks, you'd be awakened by the distant hum of the city coming to life. The aroma of freshly baked bread wafts from the bakeries, while the clatter of metal from blacksmith shops reverberates through the narrow alleyways. The air is filled with the infectious energy of traders and merchants. Stepping out onto the cobblestone streets, you'd witness a diverse array of people engaged in their daily routines. The majority of the Roman population consisted of artisans, laborers, and small-time merchants. The backbone of the Roman economy and significant contributors to its prosperity. The middle class, or equestrians, comprised successful business owners and government officials. At the top of society were the patricians, the upper class of landowners and holders of high-ranking political positions. Education held immense value in Roman society. Wealthy families employed private tutors or sent their children to ludus, where they were taught grammar, rhetoric, philosophy, and physical education. However, the less privileged had limited access to education, relying on their parents or apprenticeships for knowledge. Despite social disparities, Roman society shared a love for entertainment and leisure. Public bathhouses were popular social spaces where people of all classes could relax, exercise, and engage in intellectual discourse. Amphitheaters, particularly the Colosseum, hosted various public spectacles, from gladiatorial contests to dramatic performances. The Roman diet was simple yet nourishing, with staples like wheat, olive oil, and wine. Wealthy Romans indulged in elaborate feasts with a variety of meats, seafood, fruits, and desserts, while the less fortunate survived on a more austere diet of porridge, bread, and sometimes a small portion of meat or fish. The Roman Empire was renowned for its advanced legal system, which laid the foundation for many modern legal principles. The law governed all aspects of Roman life, from property rights to criminal proceedings, administered by a complex hierarchy of officials and courts, with the emperor at the top as the supreme judge. In terms of religion, the Romans worshipped a pantheon of gods and goddesses, each governing an aspect of life. They believed that maintaining a good relationship with the gods ensured peace and prosperity, manifested through rituals, sacrifices, and public festivals. As we reflect on this vivid snapshot of a Roman citizen's day, we appreciate the empire's rich cultural diversity, advanced societal structure, and the vibrant energy that coursed through its core. The Roman Empire at its peak was not just an era of power and territorial expansion. It was a crucible of human experiences and societal advancements, whose echoes still resonate in our modern world. In the following section, we will delve into the intricate political dynamics that governed this magnificent empire. But for now, let your thoughts wander through the grand streets of Rome as you drift into a peaceful slumber. As we continue our journey into the heart of the Roman Empire at its zenith, we explore the complexities of Roman politics and the sheer dominance of the Roman military. The Roman Empire, in its grandeur and glory, was a complex structure of governance that blended autocracy and democracy. The emperor held absolute power, yet a semblance of a republic persisted, with the Senate continuing to wield legislative and advisory roles. The Roman political system was a unique amalgamation of monarchy, oligarchy, and democracy, a combination unprecedented during that era. While the emperor was the supreme ruler, the Senate, comprising of aristocrats, played a pivotal role in the empire's governance. The Senate, a remnant of the Roman Republic, held considerable influence, serving as a check on the emperor's absolute rule. Senators were appointed by the emperor and held their positions for life, unless expelled for misconduct. Their primary responsibilities included enacting laws, managing finances, and administering justice. While the political structure of the Roman Empire was intricate, its military might was straightforward. It was the most formidable army of its time. The Roman military was a well-organized, disciplined, and efficient fighting force. It was divided into legions, each comprising approximately 5,000 soldiers. These legions were further subdivided into centuries, each led by a centurion. Notably, the Roman military was a meritocracy, with promotions based on courage and competence rather than social status. The military might of Rome was not solely attributed to the discipline and organization of its army. The Romans were also pioneers in military technology. They developed the pilum, a type of spear designed to bend upon impact, rendering it impossible for the enemy to throw it back. Additionally, the Romans engineered roads and bridges that facilitated the swift movement of their troops and supplies. The Roman Empire was not merely a military and political powerhouse, it was also a cultural and intellectual hub. Roman literature, art, architecture, and philosophy continue to shape our world today. The Romans were ardent patrons of the arts. Emperors frequently commissioned grand architectural projects such as the Colosseum, the Pantheon, and the Baths of Caracalla to showcase their wealth and power. Roman literature was diverse and rich, encompassing works ranging from epic poems to philosophical treatises. The works of Virgil, Ovid, Horace, and Seneca are still studied and revered today. Roman philosophy, particularly Stoicism, had a profound impact on the empire. Stoics believed in the significance of virtue and the pursuit of wisdom. They advocated for maintaining tranquility and peace of mind regardless of external circumstances. The culmination of Roman culture, politics, and military might was evident in their legal system. Roman law was a sophisticated system of statutes, legal principles, and court decisions based on the principle of justice and the rule of law. The Romans established a legal system designed to be fair and just, serving as the foundation for many modern legal systems. As we reflect on the grandeur of the Roman Empire, we must also acknowledge its shortcomings. There was a significant disparity between the wealthy elite and the majority of the population who lived in poverty. Slavery was prevalent, with slaves constituting a substantial portion of the population. Despite its flaws, the Roman Empire stands as one of the most influential civilizations in human history. As you drift into sleep, envision the vibrant streets of Rome, adorned with grand architecture, bustling markets, and lively forums. Picture senators engaged in debates within the Senate House, soldiers training in military camps, and philosophers conversing about the nature of life in public squares. The Roman Empire, in all its complexity and grandeur, truly was a marvel of human civilization. As we delve deeper into its exploration, let the echoes of the past lull you into a peaceful slumber where you'll dream of marble columns, murmuring fountains, and the eternal city at the heart of an empire. As we continue to unravel the intricacies of life during the height of the Roman Empire, our focus now shifts to its economy and trade. Rome's economy was a complex and multifaceted system, intricately woven into its political structure and cultural norms. Its strength lay in agriculture, trade, and slave labor. The vast expanse of the Roman Empire, spanning 3 continents, brought with it a diverse array of trade goods and opportunities. At the core of Rome's economy was agriculture. A significant portion of Rome's population engaged in farming in some capacity. From the affluent patricians who owned vast estates to the humble plebeians who tilled the soil, everyone had a stake in the harvest. Grain, particularly wheat, served as the staple crop, while vineyards and olive groves were also prevalent. The rich soil of the Italian peninsula, coupled with the temperate Mediterranean climate, created an ideal environment for agriculture. The production of food was not limited to local consumption, but also extended to export to other parts of the empire. Rome's agricultural surplus played a crucial role in sustaining its vast population and military. Trade, another vital component of the Roman economy, positioned Rome as a hub of commerce, with goods flowing in from all corners of the empire. The Mediterranean Sea, often called the Roman Lake, served as the primary conduit for this trade. Ships laden with grain from Egypt, spices from the East, and tin from Britain would dock at the bustling ports of Rome. The city's markets brimmed with an array of goods from across the known world, a testament to the empire's vast reach and power. Local craftsmen also contributed to the trade by producing goods such as pottery, textiles, and metalwork, which were exported throughout the empire. Slave labor played a crucial role in the Roman economy. It was deeply ingrained in Roman society and underpinned much of the economy. Slaves worked in various sectors, from agriculture and crafts to even the homes of the wealthy. They were bought and sold in markets, and their labor significantly contributed to Rome's wealth and prosperity. While the treatment of slaves varied, their lives were often harsh and filled with hardships. Despite the prosperity and abundance, the Roman economy faced challenges. Inflation was a recurring issue, stemming from the empire's constant military campaigns and the resulting debasement of the currency. The wealth gap was stark, with the majority concentrated in the hands of a small elite. This socio-economic divide eventually contributed to the empire's decline. However, during its peak, the Roman Empire stood as a testament to the power of economic organization and trade. Its ability to harness the resources of a vast territory and channel them into a unified economy was a remarkable feat. The impact of Rome's economic system can still be felt today in the foundations of modern economies and trade practices. As you relax and let your thoughts drift, imagine the bustling Roman markets filled with goods from distant lands, the rustling wheat fields under the Mediterranean sun, and the clinking of coins changing hands. The Roman economy, a complex machine, powered the empire and shaped the world in numerous ways. As you drift into sleep, let the echoes of this ancient world lull you into peaceful dreams. Tomorrow we'll delve deeper into the various facets of life during the height of the Roman Empire. Our exploration now shifts to the realm of entertainment and the arts. This era marked Rome's cultural and artistic zenith, with the city serving as a vibrant hub for artists, writers, and performers from across the empire. The theatre emerged as a dominant form of entertainment, showcasing a diverse range of plays from high drama to uproarious comedy. Actors in these productions were often slaves or freed men, adorned in masks that allowed for exaggerated character portrayals. Pantomime, a captivating form of performance, also gained popularity. It involved a solo dancer narrating a story through expressive movements, accompanied by a chorus singing or speaking the lines. Despite the absence of permanent theatres during the early days of the empire, the Romans cultivated a rich tradition of dramatic performances. Temporary stages were frequently erected for specific festivals and events, reflecting their penchant for spectacle. The gladiatorial games, a spectacle that epitomized Roman extravagance, held a special place in their hearts. These grand events, held in sprawling amphitheaters scattered throughout the empire, served as a platform for the Romans to showcase their wealth and power. The games encompassed a variety of activities, including chariot races and animal hunts. However, the most renowned were the fights between gladiators, typically slaves or condemned criminals, trained to entertain the crowd. Despite the brutal nature of these contests, the gladiatorial games achieved immense popularity. The best gladiators could attain a level of fame and fortune that was otherwise unattainable for individuals of their social standing. Music held immense significance in Roman life, serving various purposes from religious ceremonies to public parades. The Romans possessed a diverse array of musical instruments, including the lyre, flute, and tuba, a long trumpet-like instrument. Singing was also prevalent, with many Roman poems being composed for vocal performance. Additionally, the Romans developed a form of musical notation to document their compositions, although regrettably, very few examples of this have survived to the present day. In the realm of visual arts, the Romans demonstrated a remarkable sense of realism and a fascination with capturing the world as they perceived it. This is evident in their sculptures, which often depicted individuals in lifelike detail, showcasing intricate features and expressions. Furthermore, they excelled in creating elaborate mosaics and frescoes that depicted scenes from everyday life, mythology, and history. These works were frequently employed to adorn public buildings and private residences, providing us with a captivating glimpse into the Roman world. Literature was another domain where the Romans achieved remarkable success. The empire produced numerous distinguished writers, including poets like Virgil and Ovid, historians such as Tacitus and Livy, and philosophers like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius. Their works spanned a wide range of subjects, from history and philosophy to love and mythology, leaving an indelible mark on Western literature. Education held a high value in Roman society, with a strong emphasis on learning and intellectual pursuits. Children were imparted with the skills of reading and writing, as well as subjects like mathematics, music, and philosophy. Education was regarded as a means to prepare children for their adult roles in society and to instill in them the values and ideals of the Roman Empire. Despite the numerous advancements and achievements of the Roman Empire, it is crucial to acknowledge that life during this period was not devoid of challenges. The society was characterized by a significant social stratification, resulting in a vast disparity between the affluent and the impoverished. Slavery was prevalent, and many endured extreme hardships. However, those who navigated Roman society's complexities found opportunities for wealth, power, and cultural enrichment. As we explore the Roman Empire, we'll delve deeper into its societal intricacies, examining the political, economic, and social structures that propelled its success. We'll also investigate the factors that led to its eventual decline, highlighting the fragility of even the mightiest empires. For now, let these images of Roman life linger in your mind, a testament to the ingenuity, creativity, and resilience of a civilization that left an indelible mark on history. As we conclude our exploration for the night, let the tranquil rhythms of Roman life guide you to a peaceful slumber. Our journey through the historical tapestry of the Roman Empire continues as we explore the complexities of daily life during its zenith. This era was marked by vast territorial expansion, relative peace, and significant cultural advancements. Imagine the bustling streets of Rome, the empire's heart, teeming with people from diverse backgrounds, from affluent senators to humble slaves. The Roman Empire at its peak was a vibrant melting pot of cultures, a vivid tapestry of intertwined destinies that shaped history's course. Let's begin our exploration with the typical Roman home, or dus. Architectural advancements enabled the Romans to construct multi-story residences, a testament to their engineering prowess. Wealthy homes were often sprawling, luxurious affairs adorned with intricate mosaics, frescoes, and statues. At the center of the domus stood the atrium, a courtyard that frequently housed the impluvium, a basin for rainwater collection. This open space, enlivened by the interplay of light and shadow, served as the heart of the Roman home, a hub for socializing, conducting business, and even religious ceremonies. However, this image of domestic luxury didn't represent the typical lifestyle of all Romans. The majority of the population, especially in Rome, resided in insulae, multi-story apartment buildings. These structures, sometimes reaching 6 or 7 stories high, were often cramped and lacked the amenities of the doys. The lower floors, sturdier and less prone to fire, were usually occupied by wealthier tenants, while the higher, more precarious floors were home to the less fortunate. The Roman diet was heavily influenced by the Mediterranean climate and the vast territories of the empire. Staple foods included grains, primarily wheat, which was used to make bread. Romans also consumed a lot of vegetables, legumes, and fruits, both fresh and dried. Meat was a luxury, typically enjoyed by the wealthy or on special occasions. Fish and seafood, however, were common, especially in coastal regions. One of the most distinctive aspects of Roman culinary culture was the use of garum, a fermented fish sauce that Romans used as a flavor enhancer, much like we use salt today. The production of this sauce was a significant industry in many Roman towns. However, its smell was reportedly so overpowering that factories were often located on the outskirts of towns. In terms of fashion, the Romans are perhaps best known for the toga, a large woolen garment that was wrapped around the body. While it has come to symbolize Roman citizenship, the toga was generally reserved for formal occasions due to its cumbersome nature. On a daily basis, most Romans, both men and women, wore a simple tunic. The quality and decoration of the tunic often indicated the wearer's social status. For example, senators wore tunics with a broad purple stripe, while equestrians, members of the lower aristocracy, wore a narrower stripe. The Romans were also fond of jewelry, with both men and women adorning themselves with rings, bracelets, necklaces, and earrings. Wealthy Romans often adorned themselves with jewelry made of gold and precious gems, while those of modest means opted for less expensive materials. In terms of leisure, the Romans had a penchant for public spectacles. The Colosseum, perhaps the most iconic structure from this era, hosted gladiatorial contests, mock naval battles, and other public spectacles. Theatre was another popular form of entertainment, with comedies being particularly well liked. Most towns and cities in the empire had theatres, and performances were often part of religious festivals. Trade was a vital aspect of Roman life, with goods flowing in from all corners of the empire. The marketplace or forum served as the commercial hub, where merchants sold everything from food and clothing to exotic goods from distant lands. The Romans also developed an impressive road system that facilitated trade and military movements. This period of Roman history is characterized by contrast and diversity, from the luxurious homes of the wealthy to the cramped apartments of the poor, from the opulent feasts of the aristocracy to the simple meals of ordinary citizens. The Roman Empire was a complex and vibrant world. As we delve deeper into this fascinating era, we will explore the intricacies of daily life, cultural practices, and societal structures that defined the Roman Empire at its peak. So close your eyes, imagine the bustling streets of ancient Rome, and let history come alive. As we journey into the heart of the Roman Empire, we explore the bustling city centers where the daily lives of common Roman citizens unfolded. Typical Roman cities were marvels of engineering, featuring well-paved roads, intricate sewage systems, and impressive structures of brick and stone. One of the most iconic structures, the amphitheater, served as the center of Roman social life, where citizens gathered to enjoy public spectacles and games. These colossal arenas could accommodate thousands of spectators and were architectural wonders of their era. The Roman household, or doius, played a pivotal role in Roman life. Beyond its physical structure, the dois functioned as a social unit comprising the household head, his wife, children, and slaves. Wealthy Romans resided in opulent urban villas adorned with intricate mosaics, frescoes, and statues. These homes boasted multiple rooms, including a dining area, bedrooms, a kitchen, and often a small garden. In contrast, the impoverished lived in cramped multi-story apartment buildings known as insulae. These structures were frequently poorly constructed and susceptible to fires. Roman society was stratified, with social status significantly influencing one's quality of life. At the apex of the social hierarchy stood the patricians, the affluent aristocratic class. Below them were the plebeians, or common people. Slaves occupied the lowest rung of the social ladder. Despite the stark disparities in living conditions, all Romans, irrespective of their status, enjoyed certain public amenities such as public baths, forums, and amphitheaters. Roman cuisine was heavily influenced by the Mediterranean, with olives, grapes, and wheat forming the foundation of their diet. Wealthy Romans indulged in exotic dishes like peacock tongues and dormice, while the common people subsisted on a diet of bread, porridge, and vegetables. Wine was a staple beverage for all social classes, often diluted with water. The Romans were deeply religious individuals, worshipping a pantheon of gods and goddesses in elaborate temples and shrines. They believed in the divine origins of their city and attributed their military triumphs and prosperity to the favor of the gods. Religion was intricately intertwined with the state, and the emperor was frequently deified and revered as a god. Education held immense value in Roman society. Wealthy children received private tutoring at home, learning subjects such as rhetoric, philosophy, and mathematics. Poorer children, however, often lacked access to formal education and instead learned trades from their parents. Despite this, literacy rates in the Roman Empire were relatively high compared to other ancient civilizations. Roman law, a complex system built on centuries of tradition and precedent, influenced many subsequent legal systems, and many of its principles are still in use today. Notably, the Romans were among the first to establish the concept of innocent until proven guilty. Roman society was also characterized by its love for leisure and entertainment. The Romans enjoyed public spectacles like gladiatorial games and chariot races held in massive arenas such as the Colosseum. Theatre and music were also popular forms of entertainment, with many Romans playing musical instruments and attending plays in their free time. In the Roman Empire, life was a blend of luxury and hardship, of grand spectacles and simple pleasures. It was a society marked by its ingenuity, its love for spectacle, and its deeply ingrained social hierarchies. Despite the many challenges and inequalities, the people of Rome built a civilization that has left an indelible mark on history. As we continue our journey through the Roman Empire, we delve deeper into the lives of the Romans, exploring their hopes, dreams, and daily struggles. As we explore the day-to-day existence in the Roman Empire's pinnacle, we arrive at the realm of education and intellectual pursuits. The Romans, much like us today, recognized the value of a well-rounded education. However, the form and content of this education differed significantly from our modern conception of schooling. Let's paint a vivid picture of a Roman child's educational journey, an important aspect of life during the height of the Roman Empire. In the early morning, a Roman child, typically a boy, would be sent to the house of a literator or reading and writing teacher. Girls, while not entirely excluded from education, often received a less structured and extensive education at home, primarily focusing on domestic skills. The literator, a teacher of Latin, the lingua franca of the empire, would instruct children in the basics of reading and writing. This education was not free, and the cost varied based on the teacher's reputation. The teacher's room would be filled with the lively chatter of children reciting their lessons aloud, a far cry from the quiet, individualized study we associate with modern classrooms. After mastering the basics, children would proceed to a grammaticus, a teacher of grammar and literature. Here they would immerse themselves in the works of renowned Roman and Greek authors, absorbing the cultural and moral lessons conveyed in these literary masterpieces. Bilingualism was highly valued in Roman society, so children would also learn to write in Greek. The grammaticus would also provide instruction in rhetoric, the art of persuasive speaking, a skill highly prized in a society where public speaking held immense importance. If the family could afford it, the final stage of education would involve a rhetoric and philosophy course akin to a university education in modern terms. This comprehensive education prepared students for careers in politics and law, the most esteemed professions in Roman society. However, the intellectual life of the Roman Empire extended beyond formal education. The Romans were great admirers of Greek culture and intellectual achievements, and they absorbed much of this into their own civilization. Libraries, both public and private, were widespread, housing scrolls containing the works of great Greek and Roman thinkers. Public lectures and debates were also common, where the educated elite would gather to engage in discussions on philosophical and ethical matters. Despite this emphasis on intellectual pursuits, the Roman education system faced criticism. Some Romans lamented the excessive focus on Greek culture and language, believing it detracted from traditional Roman values. Roman schools were criticized for their harsh discipline, with corporal punishment being a common practice. Despite the mixed feelings towards the Roman education system, it was undeniably a crucial part of life during the height of the Roman Empire. It shaped the minds and values of Roman citizens, influencing various aspects of society, including politics and literature. While it may seem unfamiliar to us, with its emphasis on rote learning and physical discipline, it is in many ways the precursor to our own education system. As we move away from the bustling classrooms and quiet libraries of ancient Rome, we find ourselves standing at the threshold of a Roman home, ready to explore the intimate sphere of domestic life. However, that's a story for another time. For now, let's close our eyes and imagine the echoing voices of Roman children reciting their lessons, the rustling of parchment scrolls in a library, and the animated discussions in a public lecture. Let these images transport you to a peaceful slumber, carrying you on the wings of history. As we continue our journey through the peak of the Roman Empire, we find ourselves stepping into the vibrant atmosphere of a bustling marketplace. Known as Mela in Latin, these marketplaces were integral to Roman life, serving as the economic hub and social gathering place. They were not just places for buying and selling, but also venues for exchanging news, discussing politics, and forming friendships. The marketplace was a lively array of stalls, peddlers and shoppers. Farmers sold their produce directly to the public, fishermen hawked their fresh catches, and bakers lured passers-by with the enticing aroma of freshly baked bread. Other vendors sold clothing, pottery, household items, and even slaves. The market was filled with the clamor of haggling and the clatter of coins. A foreigner entering the market might find it chaotic, but for Romans it was an organized cacophony, a dance they were well acquainted with. The Roman diet, though simple, was remarkably healthy. Grain, the staple food, was ground into flour and baked into bread. Olive oil and wine were also essential components of their diet. The Romans relished a variety of fruits and vegetables, including apples, pears, cherries, onions, leeks, lentils, and beans. Meat, a luxury reserved for special occasions, was a favorite among the Romans. Fish and seafood, abundant due to the empire's extensive coastline, were also highly enjoyed. As the sun set, the bustling markets gradually emptied, but the heart of Roman social life continued to beat. The evening was a time for relaxation and entertainment. The Romans were ardent theatre enthusiasts, with comedy being particularly popular. Plays were performed in grand outdoor theatres, where spectators could sit and savour the performances while indulging in snacks. However, the most captivating form of entertainment was undoubtedly the gladiatorial games. These violent spectacles featured gladiators, typically slaves or criminals, engaging in fierce battles against each other or wild animals to the death. Despite their brutal nature, these games drew massive crowds, their roar, the clash of weapons, and the drama of life and death playing out in the arena captivating the Romans. Beyond the realm of blood and spectacle, the Romans were deeply engrossed in education and philosophy. Schools were prevalent throughout the empire, where children were taught reading, writing, arithmetic, and rhetoric. The Romans held a profound respect for Greek culture and philosophy, and many of them studied the works of renowned Greek philosophers like Plato and Aristotle. Furthermore, the Romans possessed a sophisticated legal system that upheld the rule of law and justice. The 12 Tables, the earliest code of Roman law, laid the foundation for legal rights and responsibilities of citizens, encompassing a wide range of issues from property rights to criminal law. To enforce these laws, the Romans established a system of courts and judges. As the day drew to a close, the Romans would return to their homes, which varied greatly depending on their wealth. The poor resided in cramped apartments in multi-story buildings called insulae. These buildings were often poorly constructed and prone to fires. In contrast, the wealthy lived in luxurious villas with spacious rooms, beautiful mosaics, and lush gardens. As we leave the bustling streets and head towards the quiet of the night, we can reflect on the complexity and richness of Roman life during its peak. It was a time of prosperity and growth, but also of significant inequality and violence. Despite these contradictions, it was a society that left an indelible mark on world history. As we drift into slumber, we carry with us the echoes of the Roman Empire, a civilization that continues to captivate and inspire us to this day. In the previous section, we concluded our journey through the bustling markets of ancient Rome, inhaling the heady scent of spices, herbs, and olives, and listening to the dynamic sounds of coinage, bargaining, and the myriad languages spoken by the diverse populace. Now let us turn our attention to the heart of the Roman Empire, its government and politics. At the height of its power, Rome was an oligarchy masquerading as a republic. The government was essentially controlled by a number of powerful families known as patricians, who held the majority of political power. These families often had deep roots in Roman society, tracing their lineage back to Rome's earliest days. Despite this concentration of power, the Romans were deeply proud of their republican ideals and made a show of electing 2 consuls each year to manage the affairs of the state. The consuls were the highest-ranking officials in the government, sharing the executive power. They were chosen from among the senators, a group of about 300 men who were the real power behind the Roman government. The Senate was the primary legislative body responsible for making laws and decisions about war and peace. Senators were also responsible for electing the consuls, which often led to intense political rivalries and even bloodshed. Besides the consuls and the Senate, there were several other significant positions in the Roman government. These included the praetors, who served as judges, the aediles, who were in charge of public buildings and festivals, the quaes, who managed the state treasury, and the censors, who maintained the census and moral standards of the state. To counterbalance the power of the patrician class, the Roman government established institutions that allowed the participation of the common people or plebeians. The plebeians could elect their own officials, known as tribunes, who possessed the authority to veto the decisions of the Senate. This was a crucial safeguard against the absolute rule of the patricians and enabled a limited form of democracy within the Roman Republic. Despite these democratic elements, corruption was rampant in the Roman government. Elections were frequently rigged, and bribery was a common practice. Wealthy individuals could purchase political offices, and politicians often used their positions to amass personal fortunes. This corruption was one of the factors that contributed to the decline and eventual fall of the Roman Republic and the rise of the Roman Empire. In the late Republic, a series of civil wars and political crises led to the rise of Julius Caesar, a charismatic general who seized power and declared himself dictator for life. After his assassination, his adopted son, Octavian, later known as Augustus, emerged as the first Roman emperor, marking the end of the Roman Republic and the beginning of the Roman Empire. Under the empire, the Senate lost much of its power, becoming more of a symbolic institution. The emperor held absolute power, making all major decisions and controlling the military. However, the emperors often maintained the illusion of a republic by keeping the Senate and other institutions functioning, albeit with significantly reduced power. This political structure governed the vast Roman Empire, stretching from Britain in the north to Egypt in the south, and from Spain in the west to Syria in the east. It was a complex and often corrupt system, yet it managed to maintain control over a vast and diverse territory for centuries. As we explore the Roman Empire's political landscape, we can unravel the intricate web of power and politics that made Rome one of history's most captivating civilizations. In the next section, we'll delve into the daily lives of Roman citizens, from the working-class plebeians to the affluent patricians. Join me as we step into their shoes and experience the sights, sounds, and experiences of living in the heart of the Roman Empire. At the heart of the Roman Empire stood the city of Rome itself, a marvel to behold. As we transition into the 6th chapter of our journey through life in the Roman Empire during its peak, our focus shifts to the urban landscape and the architectural wonders that continue to inspire awe. Rome was a city unlike any other in the ancient world, vast, sprawling, and teeming with a population close to 1 million people. It was divided into neighborhoods or vici, each with its own local officials and responsibilities. These neighborhoods were a harmonious blend of residences, businesses, and public buildings, reminiscent of modern cityscapes. The opulent homes of the wealthy, known as domas, were often built around a central open-air courtyard or atrium, serving as a hub for the house. Off this atrium, various rooms, including dining rooms, bedrooms, and private baths, could be found. These homes were adorned with intricate mosaics, vibrant frescoes, and other forms of art that reflected the wealth and status of their owners. Despite the grandeur of these domas, the majority of Rome's citizens resided in apartment buildings or insulae. These buildings, often several stories high, were cramped and poorly constructed. Fires were common in the insulae, and buildings even collapsed due to poor construction or neglect. Despite these conditions, the insulae provided homes for the majority of Rome's population. Public buildings were another defining feature of the Roman cityscape. The Colosseum, built during Emperor Vespasian's reign, could hold up to 50,000 spectators. It hosted gladiatorial games, animal hunts, and even mock naval battles. Other notable public buildings included the Circus Maximus, a chariot racing stadium that could accommodate 150,000 spectators, and the Roman Forum, the city's political and economic center. Rome also boasted a vast network of aqueducts, which transported fresh water from distant sources into the city. Some of these aqueducts, still standing today, are a testament to the Romans' engineering prowess. The water supplied by these aqueducts was used in public baths, fountains, and even some private homes. Public baths, or thermae, were central to Roman social life. These grand establishments offered not only bathing facilities, but also opportunities for exercise, relaxation, and socializing. They often featured hot and cold bathing rooms, swimming pools, and even libraries. Sanitation and public health were crucial considerations for the Romans. They constructed an extensive sewer system called the Cloaca Maxima, which drained waste from the city into the Tiber River. Additionally, they implemented measures to ensure food availability and prevent disease spread, including the appointment of public doctors and the establishment of grain doles. As we wander the ancient streets of Rome, we can't help but be awestruck by the grandeur of this city. Rome, a city where the opulence of the wealthy coexisted with the struggles of the common man, stood as a testament to the heights humanity can achieve. Its streets echoed with the achievements of Roman engineering, a testament to the city's grandeur. As we delve deeper into the realm of dreams, let us remember the Rome of old, and envision the lives lived amidst its vibrant streets and majestic buildings. Rome, a city of dreamers, builders, artists, and warriors, was the epicenter of trade and commerce. The bustling markets, teeming with vendors selling everything from fresh produce and livestock to luxurious silks and spices imported from the East, fueled the city's economic prosperity. The empire's extensive network of well-maintained roads and sea routes facilitated the transportation of goods, solidifying Rome's status as a global trade hub. The daily life of a Roman citizen was intricately tied to their social status. The wealthy patricians, residing in grand villas adorned with elaborate frescoes and intricate mosaics, lived lives of unimaginable opulence. These opulent homes, often situated on sprawling estates outside the city, symbolized their wealth and power. Patricians hosted lavish banquets and parties where guests indulged in fine wine and entertainment. In stark contrast, the plebeians, the common folk, resided in cramped apartments known as insulae, nestled within the city's bustling heart. Despite their modest living conditions, these lower-class Romans took immense pride in their community and actively participated in public life. They frequented the city's numerous bathhouses, markets, and amphitheaters, immersing themselves in the empire's diverse public entertainments. The Roman Empire was renowned for its public amenities, many of which were pioneering in their time. The city boasted an extensive aqueduct system that supplied clean water to public fountains, baths, and private homes. The Roman baths, in particular, were engineering marvels and social hubs. Citizens of all classes gathered here to bathe, socialize, and discuss politics. These baths were often grand architectural feats with heated floors, steam rooms, and large pools filled with mineral-rich water. Education was also a crucial aspect of Roman society. While formal schooling was not state-sponsored or mandatory, many Roman parents hired private tutors to educate their children. Learning was highly valued, and Roman children were taught to read, write, and speak eloquently in Latin and often Greek. They were also instructed in philosophy, music, mathematics, and astronomy, reflecting the empire's deep respect for knowledge and intellectual pursuits. Religion played a central role in the daily lives of Romans. They worshipped a pantheon of gods and goddesses, each with their unique powers and domains. The Romans were deeply superstitious and sought the favor of their deities through prayers, sacrifices, and elaborate rituals. Temples dedicated to these gods dotted the city, serving as places of worship and community gatherings. The Roman judicial system was highly advanced for its time. Citizens were presumed innocent until proven guilty and had the right to defend themselves in court. However, the courts were often biased in favor of the wealthy and influential, and corruption was rampant. As the sun set on the city, the Roman nightlife would come alive. Taverns and inns would fill with patrons seeking food, drink, and companionship. Street performers would entertain passers-by with music, dance, and theater. The city's amphitheaters would host gladiatorial contests, chariot races, and theatrical performances, drawing crowds of thousands. Despite the hardships and inequalities, life during the height of the Roman Empire was vibrant and brimming with opportunities. It was an era of intellectual growth, architectural innovation, and cultural exchange. It was a time when a humble plebeian could ascend to become a respected senator, and where the accomplishments of individuals and the society as a whole were celebrated with great honor. The Roman Empire at its zenith was a testament to humanity's potential for progress and prosperity. As we drift off to sleep tonight, let us envision the bustling streets of Rome, the grandeur of its architecture, and the vibrancy of its people, and dream of a time when Rome stood as the heart of the world.